Hey guys, welcome back to the Failed Filmer podcast. My name is Isaiah. Today I have no guest, but I do, I just want to talk about stuff. Today, I tried to do a live stream today for charity. It was for the No Kids Hungry charity, and it ended up they banned my Instagram. Because I was playing music in the background. I didn't know they had copyright systems in place. So now I'm temporarily banned from live streaming. Even though, I was doing it for charity. But the thing I was doing is I was painting a denim jacket. And I painted, some Basquiat influenced design on the back. But, it took, a couple hours to do. Turned out really good. I'm really proud of it. And then afterwards, I started talking to Gabby. She was on the show a bit ago in one of the blooper reels that I played, the Unfinished Thoughts episode. And I was talking to her about stuff, and we were talking about her in general. And I kind of wish I recorded it, but it was good to just talk about stuff, Throughout my entire life, I've really tried to help a lot of people more than I could ever help myself. And, of course, there's, been consequences to that. Not everything is perfect. But that's just, the type of person I am. I just like helping people rather than helping myself. Recently, that's changed. I've started looking after myself more than usual. Just because I'm starting to discover, who I truly am and, how I function and, what I need to truly be happy. So I've started trying to take care of myself, trying to learn new shit, trying to, do different shit in general. But definitely more in the past, I was, I never told anyone how I was feeling, ever. And if I did, it would just be a little short, oh, I'm fine, blah, blah, blah. But, no one knew the truth until, I was 16. And even then, I'm still trying to find out, who I truly am and, what I'm meant to be doing. And, of course, it's not going to be clear, to the person. It's not going to be, a clear thing that you just automatically think of, oh, shit, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of, me as a person. And especially now that I'm doing so many different projects and so many different artistic ventures, I want to do multiple shit. I don't want to be stuck with one singular job. And I think that's where, it comes to the point where you have a choice in life. And it's to either go down the route where you have that singular job and you're just working for money and you're not working for any pleasure at all, and you're just fucking going down that path, and you're in that continuous loop. And I mean, it's not that person's fault. The society has made it to where you have to work, or else you won't get a future. You won't have the retirement that you want, the things that you want. You need money in general to do shit. That's just how America is. But there's also some people, at least, from my age into their 20s, that go out and start doing the shit that they actually want to do. Even though it's a rare few that actually do it. But I think more in this generation it'll happen. Especially now, since people are discovering, oh shit, you can do work at home without having to go into the office. So I think that honestly, there are some people that will, go out and venture and do shit and go do shit that, are seen in like fucking movies and television. Go like camping, but like on a really long road trip, and go into like a Volkswagen van, drive around fucking America, go travel, take photography, do like all that shit. But some people are just caught up with the money, and obviously at one point you just have to mature. And every piece of advice comes with the knowledge of that happening to you. At least that's how I tell advice. Like, I don't give advice I don't know shit about. Like, I know exactly what I'm talking about if I'm talking about it, because I went through that. And I went through that as a young kid, so now I have like this knowledge, that no one has told me. I had to go through it to even realize it. And obviously, the shit I'm talking about now, especially with my friends, the people I interview, the people I, talk to on a daily basis, those conversations are going to change, but they will still have like the same basis of, either me trying to help or, just hanging out, talking about creative ventures. And, that the conversation I had today with Gabby, it was, we were talking about relationships and unhappiness in relationships. I mentioned my past relationship, where I noticed like all the red flags. There's so many red flags, but I was so caught up in wanting that love, like just wanting that one person to love me. Because at that point I was at my lowest. Sophomore year for me, I was homeschooled, and I did not go outside. I stayed in my room and I just did work, and I just kept to myself. And everyone at my school basically forgot I existed, because I was in that school. And then when I came back junior year, I had to rebuild all those connections, because everyone forgot about me, and it didn't feel good. But I had no other option, just because my health is pretty bad. But I'm right now I'm still pushing through that, but it's hard. Basically, it's hard to push through that pain. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and basically means I have pain everywhere on my body, like at any point, even when I'm sleeping, even when I'm talking, when I'm standing, when I'm sitting. I have pain throughout it goes throughout my entire body. It affects my memory, it affects my appetite, just basically my entire body is affected by it. And I used to blame others for this pain, and obviously it's not really anyone's fault. It's more of, I just couldn't come to terms with, I'm gonna have this pain for the rest of my life. And even though I'm taking medicine for it now, it's not working, and I've tried so many medicines. And obviously, like, when you get on your, 10th pill, you start being like, oh, shit, maybe I'm not going to get better. Maybe I'm just, doomed to forever be in pain. Especially now, because I don't have health care. I can't go to the doctor even if we did have health care, because of this outbreak. But, yeah, I've always been in the doctor, always getting tested on, because there's always something fucking wrong with me, even now. I'm trying my best to, work on myself, but it is hard at times, and it sucks because even the job I have now, I work at a pizza place. My first ever job, it was a pizza place, and I still work there, but some shit that seems really basic, just like sweeping, mopping, taking out the trash, shit like that. This most simple shit that anyone could do. It's hard for me. My bosses know, my coworkers know, and, not being able to fully do your job like 100%, that kind of hits hard. And I remember one night, after my night shift, I was in the car, and I was talking to my mom, and I started crying, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. It feels, no one really could feel that embarrassment, but I felt so bad that these people, they were doing their jobs, they were doing it 100%, and I could not do the simplest shit. And I was bawling. I was just like, I'm in so much pain, and everyone's giving up on me, and I don't know what else to do. And she said that it's the easiest job I'll ever have. I can't give up, and it hit me that in life I'm not going to be able to have a normal job, even if if I work with a CEO or like a big corporate office. I'm still going to be in that pain. So it made me realize, if I'm going to be in pain for the rest of my life, literally until I die, then why the fuck don't I just do what I want to do, instead of taking advice from people that are, disappointed in life, that have worked their entire fucking life. That's basically all I've heard. That's all I've seen. That's all I've been around, is always money problems. And people don't go after what they aspire to do, like, at all. And that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. The dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why in the hell wouldn't you not go after what you want to do? Especially since you only have, 80, 90 years on this earth? And I know that may seem like the most cliche thing to say, obviously. But usually the most cliche things are cliche for a reason. It's because some of the shit is truthful. And, they're like, oh, follow your passion and blah, blah, blah. Like, for real. Why the fuck would you just want to be... Why would you choose to be unhappy and go into a field where, number one, you wouldn't even want to go to in the first place? Number two, if you really had money problems, why don't you just move? Why don't you just... Even if you were homeless, even if you had to live in your car. That's what I don't understand. I get that some people don't want to live like that. I understand. But if you, wanted to be this unhappy, why the fuck wouldn't you move on, right? That's really like the craziest thing to me. Because, my passion is not just one single thing. I may be going to school for writing. I may be going to college for writing. But that's not going to be the one thing I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. I'm going to be doing tons and tons of shit. The shit I'm doing now, all of my projects with the fashion brand, the podcast, the artwork, the poetry, all that shit, I'm going to be doing still. Just at a higher level. Just being able to, financially support myself through it. And I'm going to continue doing this shit. And it made me realize, wow, I never properly looked at all the shit I've accomplished as a fucking teenager. Because as a person, you're always comparing yourself to other people. Like, oh shit, I want to be like him. I want to do that. I want to paint like that. But you didn't, like, when I was 16, I was published in an art magazine. I started the clothing brand, like the basis of the clothing brand when it was still New Slaves. And I started Failed Filmer. And that it was an entire community of people. And I'm still working on that shit. You know, I accomplished so much shit already. I wrote 4 books. 4 books. I'm still writing my next one. You know, I'm actually able to sell my merch. I'm in the process of trying to sell my art. I've from 2016 to 2020, I've made over 105 canvases. I've painted over 105 canvases in like 5-6 years. You know, I never looked at all the shit I accomplished because I was always comparing myself to other people. But once I sat down and realized, in literally a year of teenage life, of teenagehood, I did all that shit. That's crazy. You know damn well no teenager is doing this shit unless they have the same drive, unless they have the same motivation. No one's waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to start designing shit. To start thinking about, okay, what skill am I going to learn next? No one's doing that shit. The teenagers I'm hanging out with now, the people I'm hanging out with now, they only care about smoking, sleeping, sex, watching shows. They don't give a fuck about this, like, sewing clothes. They don't give a fuck about designing shit. I'm the nigga that's doing that. I'm the person that's doing that. And, you know, once I realized that, you know, that was like a big change for me. You know, I've always looked down on myself, no matter what. Always. I've always looked down on myself. I always told myself, you're not good enough to do this. You're not good enough to do that. And until recently, it took me 17 years to realize that I've actually been accomplishing a fuck ton by myself. By myself. I've done this shit by myself. I've had no help with others. And I've helped people while I'm doing it. And you know the best thing is I see the progress. I see the people, you know, compliment me. And I see them like, you're a really good person. And that shit is phenomenal. And I'm inspiring people to do better. At age 17. Like, if you would have asked me as a kid what the fuck I'd be doing, I could never give you an answer. I was always interested in different shit. It would go from like roller coasters, to cars, to monster trucks. Like, you know, like the typical kid shit. It would always keep going. But why can't I do it all? Especially now. You know, why can't I go and fucking go and design a car? Why can't I just go graffiti something? Why can't I just go travel the world and do photography? Why can't I do it all? Right? What's stopping me? Nothing. There's literally nothing stopping me from even now. I would literally just leave and just go travel, and I would find my way. You know? nothing is stopping you. And if you are bringing up excuses of money, bringing up excuses of just anything in general, then I don't think you were really meant to do that shit in the first place. There shouldn't be any excuses. You know, I always gave myself excuses. Because, you know, I didn't see the point. You know, like, what's the point of doing that shit? What's the point of doing this? And, you know, especially now that I'm doing so much different shit, I'm doing so much at once. I'm literally waking up early as fuck in the morning to even just browse fashion, to look at really cool art designs, watch documentaries about art, you know, research into playing guitar, just like random shit. And that's helping me become the person I'm trying to become. And I feel like more people should do that. Way more people should go out and do that shit. Instead of just watching Netflix or, you know, whatever the fuck. Like, it's cool to chill. Hey, some days you have to have self-care days and, like, actually care for yourself. That's what I've been doing. Like, actually taking care of myself. But you gotta put in the grind first before you even get to the point where, you know, you're happy about life. You're happy about the position that you're in. I've watched so many movies, so many documentaries about just random shit. Just shit that I'm interested in. When either music or, you know, art, like just anything like that. And it made me realize that, you know, the person making that film, right, and me. What is the difference between the person making that film and me? Well, maybe one makes more money, sure. I do only make, you know, I don't make much. I make minimum wage, right? So that could be a big difference, right? But besides the budget, what else is different? They were just able to execute that plan because they tried hard to execute that plan. And their plans came to fruition. You know, I'm pushing myself to be better than the people that surround me. That's what's different. I'm not trying to be like someone. I'm trying to be like myself. And once people realize that, I mean, sure, you can take inspiration from something, but if you're trying to copy exactly what someone does, that's just poser shit. Like, no one's going to like that. No one's going to be like, oh, wow, you're doing the exact same thing Tyler, the Creator's doing. Wow, that's cool. No one's going to be saying that shit. They're going to be like, oh, you're copying him. Copying everything he fucking does. But when it comes to doing shit, you know, I want to be behind my business. Like, say I have an entrepreneurship and I have my own business. I want to be behind the fucking front gates, designing the shit, selling the shit. I want to be doing it because it's my like project baby. Like, I want to be doing that. But, you know, some people want others to work for them. And that's really like, that's the difference between wanting, that's just like the difference between wanting it and not wanting it. You can have people work for you, but if you're not avidly like working on your own brand, what's the point? You know, and it's been hard to gain popularity on like YouTube and Instagram. It's been hard as fuck. And it's taken years to even get to like 1,000 followers on my Instagram, just because, I don't know. That's just how the algorithm works. But now that I'm doing so much shit, people are starting to notice. People are starting to listen to me. People are starting to, like, let me give them advice and all this other shit. I'm starting to get sponsorships. I literally got 2 sponsorships in a day because I was heavily searching for that. You know, and like I put in that work and it's paying off now. I basically work every single day. Even when I'm not in school, I'm working every single day, either on my brand, if I work on the weekends on my job, or if I'm doing schoolwork. I'm working my ass off, even though I'm in this amount of pain. Every day, every hour, every minute I'm in pain. And I'm still working through that shit. And nobody can understand that pain. You know, I could tell you it's like, oh, it's getting stabbed like in the back with a fucking gut knife every day, every moment. But, you know, all they can say is I'm sorry, because they don't understand that shit. That'd be like saying, oh, my skin feels like it's on fire. Okay? I've never been on fire. I don't know what it feels like. And I used to get so mad at people for not, you know, helping me out and being like, bro, just say some shit besides I'm sorry. But people are not going to know how to say anything about that. They're only going to know how to, like, give you sympathy. Or they're going to be empathetic towards your situation. And that's all they're going to do. That's all they can do. Because the only person that can affect that is you. And it's hard as fuck. Obviously. It's hard to even move past this shit. But when I haven't been helped, you know, I've basically been doing all this shit by myself. And now I'm getting the support of my family. At least, like 3 members of my family, the only 3 members I talk to. You know, and they're supporting me through this shit. But, you know, they didn't know the shit about me. They didn't know all the shit I was going through as a kid. Because I kept quiet. You know, I was kind of just like in the background for most of my childhood. Like, I was like the background character. You know, they didn't realize all the shit that was happening to me in Dallas. They didn't realize all the shit that was happening to me in my hometown. And, you know, that's the difference. Because now that I told them, you know, now they know exactly what I went through. Like, speaking up about that shit is serious. And I find it like, when I was talking to Gabby, I was telling her all of this shit that I've noticed. You know, like back when we first met, when we were in school, we would play like, you know, classic R&B songs. She would be singing to them. And then one day, she stopped singing. One day she just started getting more and more depressed, more and more sad. And no one else saw that shit. No one else was like, hey, are you okay? I was the only one to notice shit. I was the only one that was avidly like, oh wait, something's wrong. It's not even just because she stopped singing. It was also the shit that her personality shifted, like, completely. And I was like the only person that noticed that. And I talked to her about that today, and she was having her fucking mind blown that I even noticed like the smallest shit. But it's because I witnessed that so many fucking times. I even had it like happen to me. But I realized that shit. Just because, you know, considering I was the background character, you don't have to look at life from a first person point of view. I was always looking at life from the third person. Like a narrator was like narrating that shit. Like he was like, oh, Isaiah did this and blah blah blah. It's because, you know, I've learned to observe quietly and watch my surroundings. But that's like something that you learn If you have no siblings, if you have no people surrounding you 24/7, that's something you are able to learn. And you can use those observations to help you, especially other people. So I was telling her all about the shit that she didn't even realize. And we talked for like an hour or so, just about that. And one of the things I said was, her relationships they're not loving. They're more like lustful than loving. And I told her that. And she was like, wow, I've never been in love. Because, it took me until after, my past relationship to realize, wow, maybe I wasn't in love. Maybe I was just continually getting fucked over and I didn't realize that shit. And I think that was like the craziest part about it. It's because I realized it was happening to me, but I didn't do shit about it. Right? I didn't do shit. Until, I just couldn't take it anymore. And no one knew that shit. No one knew I was going through those relationship problems, because I didn't like advertise that shit. Even though I talk about my life 24/7, there's some shit I just don't like talking about. But now I talk about basically everything that's ever happened to me with strangers that I don't even know. That's not because I'm seeking attention. That's just because I like telling people exactly what happened to me. How I became the person I am. How I became informed about life. And, many adults have said, you can't be mature as a teenager. You can't know all this shit as a teenager. And to that I say, you're completely wrong. I know more shit than some adults. Just because I went through shit. I went through that same shit. But it took me years of being by myself to realize all that. Especially now that I'm gonna turn 18 in a couple months, right? And that's basically the start of my adulthood. I'm gonna start doing college shit. I'm gonna start working way more. That's supposed to be the start of college and just everything adult like. But I'm not gonna be acting like an adult. I'm going to be doing the shit I want to do no matter what. Because I don't care. I don't care if I'm going to be unfinancially stable. I don't care. Who cares about money? If you were to only care about money your entire fucking life, you're going to be unhappy for the rest of your goddamn life. Honestly. Life is about taking chances. Actually taking that chance. Doing some crazy shit. Because once you die, you're gone, bro. You are literally gone from this planet. You are not existent anymore. So all this shit that you just did is gone. But what matters is if you left that legacy behind or not. No one's gonna remember a guy that worked and paid rent, and just lived day by day. No one's gonna remember that fucker. People are gonna remember someone that took the time and effort to change their experience, to change their life, to better themselves. And this is not to throw anyone under the bus. This is not to insult anyone. Because even if you are that type of person to where, you're just living day by day and you're paying bills. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But the question I asked you is, are you truly happy? Like, are you happy at all with your life? That's really the important question. Because if you aren't happy, then what's the point? What is even the point? You don't have to be living for other people. Of course, like, your parents want you to be, like, successful, financially stable, and all that shit. And they're going to keep recommending you, like, jobs to do and career paths you should go. But in the end, it's up to you on what the fuck you do, how the fuck you act, like, what you do in general. You shouldn't take, like, sure, you should take your parents' advice about some shit. But when it comes to career and what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, why would you choose to be unhappy in something that you don't even want to do? Why wouldn't you want to, pursue the career that you want? And that's really the end of my speech. I will, I might make a part 2 of this, but that is basically the end of this episode. And I will just leave you with those words. Are you truly happy? See you next episode. Bye.